out, so. Okay, we ready, Mayor? Oh, we just need the judge. Okay. It's going to be you, then the judge, and then. Are you going to do any translating, or? Okay, okay. Okay, good afternoon. My name is Peter Zanoni, Corpus Christi City Manager, and thank you for joining us today for our daily Public Health District Update. Joining me today is Mayor McComb, Nueces County Judge Barbara Canales. I'm going to speak later during this event as well, and Annette Rodriguez, our Public Health Director, will as well. Mayor McComb is going to talk about keeping us focused and positive, talking about fighting the good fight, and highlight some of the acts of kindness that we're seeing throughout the Corpus Christi community, actually the Nueces County community. Judge Canales is going to talk to us about small business assistance and other matters related to the stay-at-home order. I'm going to give you the daily update on the number of COVID-19 cases that we have new since yesterday at 4 o'clock. Also talk to you about airport operations, make sure the community is clear about the governor's order in terms of disclosing if you're flying into Nueces County from various locations across the country. And then our health director, Annette Rodriguez, will talk about the drive-through testing that was very successful yesterday, talk about the numbers process, and talk to you also about reminders on that process and private lab and preventative tips as well. So with that, let me have Mayor McComb come up to the microphone, and we'll translate some of that into Spanish as he's coming up.
Okay. Buenas tardes, soy el gerente de la ciudad, Peter Zanoni. Conmigo se encuentra el alcalde de la ciudad, Joe McComb, la juez del condado, Bárbara Canales, y la directora del Departamento de Salud, Annette Rodríguez. Ellos nos van a hablar de toda la información más actual que tenemos relacionada al virus.
Okay, well, we will, situations like this always bring out the best in people, and we just want to continue to encourage people to be their best. It's a battle we're all fighting, and we need to win it, and we will together. But just to give you some idea of, we hear a lot about the medical things and the tests and the reports, but the unseen stories of those that are going on that nobody really sees, but you need to know about, because it's a wonderful community, and I've seen the goodness of Corpus Christi, Nueces County many times in situations like this. And just to give you a couple of examples, there was an elderly couple that couldn't get out and get the food they needed because stores were short on groceries, and they just weren't able to get there and get them in time. And she told somebody, and somebody told somebody else, and they called their church, and I think within about an hour they had groceries and eggs and everything and took care of that need. And I think that type of thing, and the folks that are working hard at the grocery stores, H-E-B and all of those, we want to say thank you for that. And so while we hear a lot of discouraging comments through the media and different stories, there's a lot of wonderful things going on behind the scenes, and I just want to let you know that the judge and myself and the city manager and all of us appreciate all the work that the staffs are doing, both the city and the county, as well as within the community and our medical professions. Someone said, some people are always grumbling because roses have thorns. Well, we're having a lot of thorns, but the good part about rose bushes, they're known for their flower and the roses. And the people that are doing the work out there, from the medical professions to the staffs, to the folks behind the scenes, that really is a blessing that our community has. Let me just give you one example. I got a text yesterday, and this is what it says. It says, Joe, this is a group of us would like some information regarding how many employees are in City Hall on a daily basis right now. Don't know if you all will be operating at full strength or at a skeleton staff. We're working on a project to help those on the front line of this situation, as well as our local restaurants. Please feel free to call me back or text me. And they're working to try to provide food so that if you're in the building at the courthouse or City Hall, or some of the restaurants, getting help to you so you can continue to do your work. And this is just I think, a demonstration of how good folks are in Corpus Christi. And I'm reminded of the scripture that over in Ephesians it says, "I've not stopped giving thanks for you, remembering you in my prayers." And I think all in Corpus Christi, for those that have a faith and are saying prayers, they're saying it for the health workers, the families, and friends. And so keep the faith. We've got some good people working, got some great people working, and their attitude is not going anywhere but up because they're seeing some good results. And I don't want to steal her thunder, but I think Annette said the first folks that we identified early on have just about recovered and are back up to normal. And so that's wonderful news. And I'll let you tell a little more about that. I didn't mean to steal your thunder, but I was excited when you told me that. So, Judge, if you'll come and give us some update. And I get questions about the orders that we have and between the county, and I basically say they're a mirror image of each other. And so we're trying to be as much of a team on this as we can so that there's not a lot of confusion and there is consistency in what we're trying to accomplish. And I appreciate the judge's work and Peter's work and everyone's. But for those of you that are behind the scenes that sometimes you're overworked and not recognized, we want to recognize and know that you're recognized and appreciated. So thank you. Judge, if you'd come at this time.
Thank you, Mayor, for those good words. And I have a few items that I'd like to highlight today that are relative to county services and business. And I think the most important one is to tell you how well our Nueces County hotline on stay-at-home orders has worked today. Today was the first day that we had our new number in operation, which is 414-6000. And it worked very well. But it worked so well because of the tireless, dedicated, amazing Nueces County and city staff that we have manning those hotlines, from social services to our legal departments. And so I want to give thanks to them in particular, but also give thanks to the other departments that help with logistics, from the law library to our IT department. Everybody pitches in. When I say we're going to get hotlines up and they say, when is that? And I say, in 1 hour, they go with full force and effect. And that's why we're able to help the citizens of Nueces County today answer their questions and also help direct them to other areas if their question maybe doesn't involve the stay-at-home order, but involves some of the social services that Nueces County provides and or their partners provide. So I'm very thankful that that number is working. Remember, if you are hearing this message and you say, I forgot to call, but I have a very important question, after hours, you can reach us at countyattorney@nuecesco.com. countyattorney@nuecesco.com. And then we will look at those emails, and you will be the first ones in the morning to get those emails answered. And I have to be honest, all of us are working extra long hours so that we can get your answer as quickly to you as possible. In addition, I wanted to share with you that as part of the mayor's spreading the good word and good news, Cooper Advertising has offered the county the opportunity to also have billboards and messaging on good practices regarding how to keep us safe, from social distancing to washing our hands and disinfecting our surfaces, through the use of their billboards. And so they join Lamar Advertising, who has already done digital billboards for the city. And I'm just so pleased that, as you said, Mayor, everybody is doing their part. There is so much good in Nueces County. Also, let me emphasize that the county is open for business. I spent a few hours in the early morning working with Tyner Little to make sure that our agenda is getting ramped up for next week's Commissioners Court meeting. So it's a good news that we are continuing to do the county's business, and I want everyone to know that the courthouse is still open. We just have pivoted, and we have a lot of limited limited ways of doing business where there's not one-on-one interaction, but there's still ways to get your paperwork if you need it, or whether you need to get any services with regards to some of the social services, veteran services, and of course, the district clerk, county clerk, our courts of law are all working remotely. And so this is a really good time to celebrate that we are open for business to help you with your Nueces County services. Finally, I'd like to end by saying that I've had a really wonderful conversation over the last few days with our county commissioners. And it's really been centered around how we can learn from this experience. And so I want to thank Commissioner Vaughn, particularly for her phone call this morning, Commissioner Chesney, who stopped by my office, Commissioner Jag, Commissioner Modis, who all have asked how can they be helpful. And so you will see them active in their precincts and out of their precincts, all in an effort to continue doing the work that is the business of Commissioners Court. And in particular, their collective thought processes have led me to establish the concept of a resiliency plan. So after this event is over, and it will be over in the future, we can look at lessons learned, and we can hopefully prepare in a much better way for any type of future events. So I love this idea that came from the commissioners, and I'd like to honor that by mentioning it here today. Leaders from around our region, whether they be county judges, mayors of small cities or towns, and regional associations, from the Port Aransas Business Association, our Chamber of Commerce, I should say, to Padre Island Business Association, the WBA, NAACP, Black Chamber, Northwest Business Association, and so many others have been collaborating with me over the past few days. And I just want to say that I'm grateful for their input and their opportunity to garner what I'm considering an incredible community alliance for the Coastal Bend. Together, we plan to put our minds around how to help small business that's been impacted in our community. And I look forward to announcing a strong strategic plan going forward later this week. Thank you so much.
Quiero recordarles que la línea de ayuda está disponible desde el día de hoy. El número a llamar es el 361-414-6000 de lunes a viernes o en la tarde. Si puede también hacerlo, puede mandarnos un correo electrónico a la dirección countyattorney@nuecesco.com.
Okay, so I'm showing my age. It's county.attorney@nuecesco.com. county.attorney@nuecesco.com for after-hours questions. I apologize for the error.
Okay, la dirección a escribir por correo electrónico es county.attorney@nuecesco.com.
Okay, thank you, Judge, and thank you, Mayor. Let me begin my portion of the update with an update on the statistics. Since yesterday at 4 o'clock, when we last reported, we're reporting every day around this time. We are reporting 9 new cases for Nueces County. That brings us to a total of 31 cases in Nueces County since we have been starting of persons that have COVID-19. Of the 9 cases today, 2 are travel-related and 7 are under investigation. They came in late, primarily from commercial labs, and so we don't have all the detail on those 7 cases. In Nueces County, there still has been 0 deaths with respect to COVID-19. Of the total 31 cases, 17 are male and 14 are female. In terms of the new cases, the majority was female, so 7 female reported today or since yesterday, and 2 male. In terms of the age group, the age groupings is still about the same in terms of the majority of the numbers being in the 40 to 49-year-old bracket. And then the second largest group is in the 60 to 69-year-old bracket. The 9 cases that we're reporting from yesterday to today, 1 person is a Port Aransas residents, and then 8 are City of Corpus Christi residences. Let me just talk one moment about the actual number of tests that we're performing in the labs. The mayor signed an order that is requiring labs and hospitals to report to the health district on a daily basis on the number on the number of tests they're performing. We're still working through that process today, and we don't have good information yet to release. We do want to get that information, though, because it helps to show the total number of cases that we're analyzing in labs in the county. And that's important because the number of positives to the total number of cases, what we believe right now, it's relatively low compared to the state average. But we just don't have the total numbers to release. We don't want to give out a wrong number. At our lab in the city, we've tested 154 persons since the beginning of this. In the private labs and in the hospitals, we think that number's somewhere around 200, but we're not certain right now. There's some duplicate numbers that are in the state database, and so we can't release a number yet, although we want to. And so we'll have that hopefully, if not tomorrow, it should be this week for sure because of the order that has the mandate to have these labs and hospitals report that to us daily. But also we'll be analyzing that state system that exists that has that information. Another thing I want to do is remind everybody about the numerous stay-at-home and social distancing orders that have been placed out. There's quite a bit, and they get updated periodically, so I thought it'd be good to show the community and remind the community of the various guideline dates and stay-at-home orders. Beginning with the presidential guidelines, so the president, the federal government, has a social distancing policy more so, or a social distancing recommendation, I should say. And yesterday, the president updated the federal guideline for social distancing through April 30th, or up until April 30th. We know the governor for the state of Texas has issued a similar social distancing, crowd size, and certain facility closures. That goes through this Friday, April 3rd. We expect, though, that there could be, or it's probable that, or it's possible, I should say, that there could be some updates from the governor this week. And so we'll keep you informed of that, or you'll see it yourself from him. Now, more local here in Nueces County and in the city of Corpus Christi, both Judge Canales and Mayor McComb and the councils and the courts have stay-at-home orders that have been issued. Those are good through April 8th, and those impact us the most. So the federal government and the state governments, those are more recommendations, even though they have some enforcement, the state does at least. But the local ones are the ones we need to focus on most, and those are good right now until the 8th. Our CCISD, the largest school district, Corpus Christi Independent School District, and the others have closed schools until April 14th. The teachers would return unless otherwise adjusted on the 13th. And then Del Mar College has also closed their campuses through April 13th. Texas A&M, Corpus Christi has closed their campuses and are continuing the rest of the semester online, and so their campuses are closed until May 18th. Okay, so that's a summary for the community. That's a good one to have, so people can kind of put them all together and make sense of it, and more importantly, follow the orders. I don't know if you want to do a summary a little bit. Okay.
Desde el día de ayer, las últimas cifras que se entregaron, entre ayer y el día de hoy, han sido 9 las personas que resultaron positivas a la presencia del virus, haciendo un total de 31 personas. De ese 31 personas, el número de casos son 17 hombres, 14 mujeres, y en el rango de edades de esas personas, la mayoría es entre 40 a 49 personas. Aún se espera recibir algunos de los resultados realizados por laboratorios privados. También le queremos recordar a la gente que las órdenes para que se queden en casa y continúen realizando el distanciamiento social, de acuerdo al presidente, la orden presidencial es para el 30 de abril, el estado es para el 3 de abril, el condado y la ciudad para el 8 de abril, el CCISD, el Distrito Escolar de Corpus Christi, es para el 14 de abril, el Colegio de Del Mar el 13 de abril y para Texas A&M el 18 de mayo.
Okay, good. All right, let me just provide a recap too. We provided information over the weekend on this, but you may recall we have public safety officers under quarantine because of transport or exposure to criminals that may have been suspected or have had COVID-19 or have been diagnosed. So over the weekend, though, there were several changes in terms of test results came in on the negative side primarily. So currently we have 7 firefighters who remain in quarantine. There was a grouping of 5 initially, and then 2 more were added. So those 7 are in quarantine still. 5 will return to duty not until April 2nd. That's when the 14-day period will have lapsed. And then for the other 2, we're still waiting on the patient test results, and so we're not able to determine their end of quarantine date since we don't know the results of the test from that patient. Our police officers, there were 4 police officers, and they were all put back into duty yesterday because their person was negative. All right, my last thing in my portion of the presentation, and then Annette will talk, is just to brief the community on the governor's order in terms of those traveling into the city of Corpus Christi through the airport, and in particular if they're coming from the cities of New York, New Jersey, if they're coming from the state of Connecticut, California, and Washington, and cities like Atlanta, Miami, Detroit, Chicago, and New Orleans. The governor has said that if you fly into our airport, you need to fill out a form, and you need to tell the state that you're coming into the city of Corpus Christi. We got a copy of the form today, and I believe it's on the screen as well. And so the person traveling into the state soon can probably download this from where they're leaving from. But as of today, it seems like they would pick it up when they get into the airport. It's handed to them upon them leaving the airplane. They fill out the form, and it's upon their own self that they have to track down a Texas Department of Public Safety officer, state trooper who is at the airport. There's 3 of them in the airport at any given time as flights come in. And so persons coming to the city need to, 1, track down a DPS person, and then 2, give them, him or her, the completed form to fill out. It's pretty simple, but one thing it does talk about, and the governor's order is that they have to quarantine for 14 days. And so on the form, they need to list where they're going to quarantine, what's the actual address, whether it's a hotel, a home, or some other residence, and they have to notify us of that. So that's it on that. It's pretty simple, but it's a way to keep our community safe, and other cities and communities are doing that as well. So with that, we're going to turn the microphone over to Annette, who's going to talk to us a little bit about yesterday's testing and provide us some health tip reminders.
Thank you, Mr. Zanoni. Yesterday, the Public Health District's drive-through went very well. It was conducted at 8 o'clock sharp. We started, and it ended around 9:30 in the morning with 45 individuals going through the drive-through. The district's next drive-through collection site will be scheduled this Wednesday. I would like to remind the community the drive-through collection sites is by appointment only. If you're sick and you believe that you may have the coronavirus, call the Health District hotline at 361-826-7200 for a pre-screening to determine if you meet the criteria for testing. If you call the hotline and you do not meet the CDC criteria to be tested, you may contact your primary care physician via telephone to make arrangements to have testing done through a commercial lab. Please do not go to the emergency room or your doctor's office without calling first if you are experiencing a respiratory type illness. We are continuing to advise the general public to be vigilant about staying at home as much as possible, especially the vulnerable populations. When you do go out to grocery or hardware stores, do not congregate. Avoid crowded areas. Practice staying 6 feet or more away from others. Continue practicing the non-pharmaceutical interventions we have mentioned many times before, which include avoid close contact with people who are sick, wash your hands as often as possible, cover your coughs and sneezes, then wash your hands again, disinfect commonly touched areas, and avoid touching your nose, eyes, and mouth with dirty hands. I am happy to stay for questions at the end of the briefing. Thank you.
La toma de muestras del día de ayer del Distrito de Salud Pública tuvo mucho éxito. Se realizaron 45 tomas de muestras de 8 a 9:30 de la mañana. La próxima toma de muestras estará programada para el miércoles 1 de abril a las 8 de la mañana. Le quiero recordar a la comunidad que la toma de muestras es solo para aquellas personas que cuentan con una cita. Si está enfermo y cree que puede tener el COVID-19, llame a la línea directa del Distrito de Salud al 361-826-7200 para que sea evaluado por teléfono y determinar si cumple con los criterios de la prueba.
Okay, great. Okay, that concludes our press event today, our health update. We hope it's useful information for the community. And with that, we have time for any questions if there's any.
Oh, you're on. Okay. Jim Wells County originally had a case that they are now bouncing over to Nueces County. Is that included in these numbers? And do we know the whereabouts of this person?
No,
Are
that
they-
one is not included.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we counting that person in Nueces County?
If they live in Nueces County, we will. It's not in our numbers today. It's not in our 9 new cases from today.
Okay.
Yeah. So if they're a resident in Nueces County, we will count them.
Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
For the breakdown, if it's one person in Robstown, 3 people in Port Aransas, and the rest of them are in the city of Corpus Christi,
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
is there any expectation or consideration of extending any stay-at-home orders at this time?
Judge?
I think the expectation is we let the data drive the policy, and I think the first order of business is to see where we are this Friday after the governor's order, and then I can, obviously take his orders into consideration or his decisions. But as you can see, we really do let data guide us, and in fact, it seems that our president has done the same thing by extending the social distancing guidelines to April 30th. So I think it's fair to say that every day we continue to reevaluate, but first I'd like to see what happens on Friday with the extension or the possible extension of orders from the governor.
Any other questions? Okay, great. This concludes our press event for today. We'll be back here tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Thank you.